Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. So, today's episode goes out to a very specific group of people, and you may or may not resonate with this, or maybe you know someone that might resonate with this. But today's episode is going out to people that question whether or not their relationship with alcohol is healthy. So, growing up, as you know, I had two alcoholic parents. Alcohol was just part of my life, it was everywhere. I can remember going to grab orange juice at my mom's house and it being spiked with vodka. Every party that we went to involved liquor. Every wedding that we went to involved dancing and alcohol and always a drunk fight somewhere throughout the night. And every night of my house at night involved drinking. So to me, it was a very normal part of life. Was it a happy part of life? No, but it was very normal. So a couple things are going to happen when you grow up like that. One, you may grow up and you may say, I'm never going to touch the stuff. I saw what it did to my parents. Two, you're going to drink because it's just part of life and it's what we do. And you're going to be a social drinker and you're going to have absolutely no problem with it. And three, you're going to drink too much, or you're going to fall into bad habits, or you're going to have it start affecting your life. Well, if you're at this point where you're kind of questioning, what is my relationship with alcohol? And do I have a problem? And should I seek help? I am here to give you a couple pointers. And this is a very quick assessment that I did for myself and the questions that I asked myself when I knew it was a problem. So I'm going to give you a list. You can check them off. You can do a little checklist, whatever you want to do. But if you find yourself answering yes to these questions, then maybe it's time to explore the fact that maybe it has become more than you want it to be, or your relationship with alcohol or marijuana or drugs or whatever it is not healthy and is not doing good things for your life. So here it is. Here's my list. One, do you often rely on alcohol to cope with stress, emotions, or social situations? Do you find yourself drinking and saying to yourself, I need a drink? Oh my gosh, this day has been so overwhelming. I need to drink. And going home, and whether you're by yourself or alone or in a group, do you find yourself drinking to kind of take care of that stress and those emotions? Two, do you drink more than you originally planned, or do you find it hard to stop once you start? A lot of times you go out there and you have the best of intentions. You say, okay, it's Monday night. I'm only going to have two, or I'm going to drink and then I'm going to have a glass of water after every single drink so that I don't get drunk so much quickly and that I spend most of the time in the bathroom, so less time ordering drinks. Do you rationalize those kind of things? And do you find it hard to stop? So many times you might have said to yourself, I'm just going to have one, and that one leads to five to six to seven. Um, Three, do your drinking habits affect your relationships at work, health, or your responsibilities? Do you find yourself hungover in the morning and not wanting to go to work and calling in sick or calling in late? Do you find yourself fighting with your husband or your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Do you want to get out of work? I mean, even if you love your job, do you find yourself leaving work early so that you could stop at the bar and get one, or to go so that you can go home and grab a glass of wine? So those are just a couple ways that it can affect your relationships, your work, your health, and your responsibilities. Number four, and this is probably one of the biggest things that people, when they have a substance use disorder or they have a bad, unhealthy relationship with some kind of drug or alcohol, is, do you experience guilt or shame or regret about your drinking? Now, if you find yourself saying to yourself, I can't believe I did this, or why did I do this again? Or, oh my goodness, what did I say? If you find yourself feeling those things and beating yourself up about it, then maybe you do have an unhealthy relationship with it. You shouldn't feel guilty or shame about the things that you do. You don't feel guilty or shame when you go play tennis, right? So why should you go out at night, have a couple drinks, and then wake up in the morning and feel guilty or shame? Okay, another one. Do you notice yourself having to drink more to get the same effect? Like where maybe in high school or college, you could have two beers and you get little tipsy. Do you find yourself having to have six or seven or being able to have seven or eight drinks, and all of a sudden you're not getting the same effect, or you're not even feeling like you're buzzed or drunk or anything, and you're having so much more. That could possibly mean that your body is building up a tolerance, and that you need more and more and more to kind of stimulate that dopamine effect. So you have to drink six beers for when you used to be able to just drink two and feel that happy little giddy buzz. Another one, have friends or colleagues or family members said something about your drinking? And, or even this, have they just casually mentioned it and you get very defensive about it? That's another sign that you might have a problem, because you know in your heart of hearts that you're feeling some guilt and some shame about it. And that's why you jump back at them or you get defensive. Or even if you're just family thinks to mention it, then maybe they think it's a problem and maybe it's worth exploring, because your family loves you. Your family cares for you. If you grew up with alcoholic parents, you know how it broke your heart watching your loved ones or someone you cared about destroy their bodies and their mind and their health. Maybe your family thinks the same thing about you. So again, this is not to look at yourself and judge yourself. It's just a quick assessment of questions that you can ask yourself to maybe do a little self-reflection, not judgmentally, but just reflect and see if maybe your drinking has become a little more than you want it to be. Another one, do I ever drink alone or in secrecy? I remember my complete denial of saying to myself, I'm not an alcoholic as long as I never drink alone or I never drink by myself. That was I remember when I was in high school and I used to say to myself, I swear I will never do two things. I will never drink because I'm angry, mad, or sad, and I will never drink alone, both of which I did at some point. And then I rationalized it away. But if you find yourself sneaking drinks, if you find yourself maybe grabbing a couple mini bottles and throwing them in your Slurpee at the movie theater or something like that, then maybe, again, no judgment, but maybe it's time to start exploring a little more. Have you ever tried to stop and then you get irritable or angry or just frustrated and you don't feel like you could stop or felt like it was impossible? That is a big red flag, because if you say, I'm just going to slow down, I've been drinking too much and I just want to stop, and then you find yourself maybe suffering from a little bit of the withdrawal symptoms, big red flag. Do you, I'm trying to think of some other things. Have you ever blacked out during drinking? Have you lost chunks of memory? I mean, we've all, because not everybody has done this, but many, many people have drank to the point where they literally blacked out and lost complete hours of time, minutes of time, moments of time, chunks of time, whatever it is. And that goes back to that guilt and shame. Because when you have blackouts, raise your hand if you've been there. You wake up and the first thing that goes through your mind is, oh my God, what did I say? What did I do? Why am I here? How did I get here? Are these questions that you've ever asked yourself? Because if they are, you might have a drinking problem. Have you ever, this is another big one, have you ever woken up in the morning with such a bad hangover that you feel like, oh, I just need a Bloody Mary, or wow, a beer would take this off? That is a big one too. Because sometimes when you want to fix how you're feeling in the morning, it will also, like another Bloody Mary or a beer or a glass of wine or something in the morning, will calm your nerves and make you less anxious. That's a big red flag. Have you ever, and this is a big one, and again, I say all of this with love because, again, it's just a time to self-reflect. It's questions to ask yourself. But these are things that many, many, many of us have done, and we blow it off. We rationalize it. We pretend it's no big deal. But these are things that can potentially harm us. So have you ever engaged in risky behaviors? Have you ever drove your car while you were drunk? Have you ever had unsafe sex? Have you ever woken up with someone you didn't know or how you got there? All of that is because your inhibitions and your sense of judgment is gone when you are drinking. So you do things and you engage in risky behaviors that you wouldn't normally do. If someone said to me, Tammy, you just took six sleeping pills or painkillers because you just had massive surgery and you shouldn't drive, I wouldn't drive. I would heed their advice and I would not drive. But I remember, and even in college, I'll be the first one to admit, I used to say, I won't drive after one or two, but after seven or eight, I'm good. I'm invincible. And you just feel like that because again, you're lowering your inhibitions, you're just changing, you completely change. Another one, are you spending more money on alcohol than you can afford, or do you feel anxious when you run out of alcohol? I know, I mean, that's the epitome of the stereotypical homeless person on the streets who begs for enough money to get his first 40 of the morning. I worked at a gas station. I saw it all day long. People would go out and panhandle and get that. I think back then it was $2.42 for a big 40-ounce Colt. I think it was a Colt 45 or something. And they would beg until they got that. And then they'd be back on the streets begging until they got that. But they were clearly spending above their means. If you find yourself cashing checks or hiding money so that you can buy liquor, this could be a red flag. Another one, if you go to an event, let's say you're going to a concert, is the first thought on your mind, how are we going to get the booze in? You might have a problem. I can remember having ski poles and the top of my ski pole unscrewed, and you could pour cinnamon schnapps down into your ski pole. So I could drink while I was skiing because, and nothing, I never thought it was about being drunk, but it warmed my tummy. It made me feel good. And then I used to joke and say, and if I fell, I wouldn't get hurt because I was so loose. Again, red flag. Another one, we know the signs, the symptoms, the health benefits, the risks, we know all this. Do you continue to drink despite knowing it and rationalize your way around it? Do you say, I know this is so bad for me. I know this is killing my liver. I know this, I know that, but I'm going to continue to drink? Then maybe your relationship with alcohol is not so healthy. And the last one, and this one probably hits more home to me than anything. Do you feel like you have to drink to have fun? Do you feel like it's necessary? Do you feel like nobody would like you if you are the way you are? I can remember literally going to a party and walking in and it just was boring and it was mellow and it was blah and there was music, but it didn't light me up. But then as soon as I got those first couple beers in me, all of a sudden I could dance and I could laugh and I could have fun and I could relax and I could be me, or so I thought I could be me. So that is the big one. If you, again, it goes back to that activity. If you're going to a concert, if you're going to a ball game, is the first thing on your mind, let's get some beer, let's get some liquor, let's have a margarita to lighten up so that we can have fun. All of these, my friends, are unfortunately questions to ask yourself to see if it might be necessary or not necessarily necessary, but important to you and your health and your well-being to explore these. Now, I'm going to actually put them all in a list, a little that you can put in the show notes so that you can maybe print it out, check it out, look at it, read it over again when you're sitting by yourself and kind of self-reflecting. But again, no judgment. So many of us have been there. So many of us started drinking for what we thought was the right reasons, to have fun, to fit in, to be ourselves, to have a good time because everybody else was drinking, whatever the reason was. But now it's gone too far. Alcohol kills more people than drugs every single day. And you don't think about it when you're in the throes of it, but you think about the benefits that it gives you. You think about the happiness and the being able to relax and everything else. But I want to encourage you to think about the negative things. You know, I had someone say to me just the other day that they equate good times with alcohol, that they remember the parties they went to where it was super fun because of alcohol. And I literally gave her one trick. I said, go home and the next time you have that thought, write down all of the negative things that happened with the alcohol. Write the fights that you had with your parents. Write It helped me to literally look at it and go, yes, I had fun at that party, but then my best friend was killed in a drunk driving accident on New Year's Eve. I mean, those things are the things where you can maybe flip your switch a little bit. But I do have a book I want to recommend. My daughter actually recommended the book to me, and it's called The Naked Mind. And it really goes into more of this and really talks about your relationship with alcohol and how you can kind of flip it to where your subconscious mind believes that it's not good for you. And maybe you're not at that point right now. Maybe you're happy doing what you're doing. And that is fine, because that's all I want for you, is to be happy and to be at your best. But I did want to point out some of these little questions and maybe a small little assessment that you could actually ask yourself, just to see where you're at, to be curious, to not judge yourself, but to know yourself. Because there's a lot of red flags, but alcoholism is not, very few people drink one time and they're full-blown alcoholics. It's something that sneaks up on you. It's something that physiologically changes your body and your mind. And you just go a slippery, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And before you know it, you are there at a point where you're struggling. So if you're there, I encourage you, reach out for help. Um, Reach out to anybody you can. Go to a meeting, talk to a friend, start small, talk to a friend. Your friends, believe it or not, even though you can be in a room and all of your friends might drink, your friends will most likely be supportive. Your parents will be supportive. Your kids will be supportive, whoever it is. Because if you know that you want to change your relationship with alcohol and you want it to be a more positive experience and you want to figure out what's going on in your life and maybe get to some of the roots of the things that are making you drink to begin with, or get back to your authentic self so that you're excited to be yourself and you don't think you have to put on the alcohol mask. Those are the things we want to get to. Those are the things we want to find out about. And I promise you, there's so many resources out there, so many people you can go to that love you and care about you and want you to be your best version of yourself. So again, I did not put this list out here, did not do this episode to judge, to harm, to say you're doing something wrong. I just did it as a small little tool to help you self-reflect. And again, if you want to go grab that book, I did put the link in there. And yes, I think I make 6 cents off it. If you purchase the book, helps keep this podcast free. With no ads on it, but it's called The Naked Mind, and it is amazing, and it's a good book. I promise you. So check it out. And until then, if you have any questions or you're considering, questioning what's going on or how you're feeling or your relationship with alcohol or some other addiction, whatever it is, it could be cigarettes, it could be drugs, it could be gambling, it could be sex, whatever it is. If you're struggling to find out why, or you think there might be some red flags coming up, please reach out. Okay. So I hope that's helpful. I hope maybe some of you, like I said, can resonate with it. If not, share it with someone that you think might be able to resonate with it. But until then, you have a blessed day, and know that with alcohol, without alcohol, however you decide or whatever you decide is best for you, I'm here to support you in any way that I can. And you are worthy to have the absolute best version of your life, and you're worthy to have the best of everything. You deserve it. You're great. You're amazing. I love you. Have a blessed day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.